Hey everyone, I'm thrilled to have Ryan Steinberg with me. Ryan is the head of global customer support operations at Intercom, and I'm really excited to talk to him. Intercom is doing some really cool things with a lot of ways to connect with customers and also provide a little bit of automation. So I think Ryan will be able to give us some good insight into how they're providing an experience for their customers and also really just how they're leading kind of a piece of customer experience business. So Ryan, if you wouldn't mind giving us a little bit of intel about yourself and talk about Intercom and how you ended up there and what you're doing over there.
Sure. Thanks for having me, Joe. So as Joe said, work at Intercom. I lead our support operations team, small but mighty team that handles, our customer support org of around 60, 70 people around the world, supporting our global 30,000 customers. So a lot of complexity there that we might get into. In terms of how I started out, joined Intercom about 5 years ago, started out doing just frontline support. It was a small team then, and then eventually just worked my way up into the operations space and to where I am now. So for those who are not familiar, Intercom is a customer communication platform, basically one of those little chat messengers on bottom right-hand corner of a site that allows support teams to talk to you, marketing teams to talk to you, sales teams, whatever it might be. It's a two-way platform for you and your customers to get to know each other, get in contact with each other.
That's awesome. It's definitely a unique time. There's lots going on, and obviously in the tech space and a lot of other areas, it's all about customer experience, really finding ways to connect with your customers so they aren't churning, so they're staying with you during times where they may need to cut back on budgets. What do you think is really the DNA or the root of a good customer experience?
Yeah. Well, let's see. Probably the foundational thing, everything from your marketing side to your sales team interaction, to your support interaction, comes with the foundation of respecting their time and respecting them as individuals, and that comes in a bunch of different forms. So specifically thinking about the support side of things, a lot of that is just around setting proper expectations, making sure that people aren't basically expecting one thing and getting something completely different. So managing that from the second they get to your site or the second they write into you. I think that's really important for support teams. But overall, it's giving people options. It's giving people the ability to do things the way that they want to do it to a certain, to a certain level. We can't have people running wild, and sales teams need to sell. So at some point they're going to step in. But it's giving people the ability to self-serve if they want to self-serve. It's giving people the ability to talk to a human and really go deep that way. A lot of it is just about respecting that we're all individuals, that we all are likely not going to be spending our weekends going on SaaS sites trying to buy new products. Some people might be. Sometimes it's a full-time job, but most people are not really interested in doing that for many hours in the day. So respecting their time and the way that they want to approach that problem.
So Intercom provides a great way to, quickly get questions answered, self-serve, like you mentioned, or connect with the knowledge base that you may have as a company, or also, chat with a live person. How is Intercom using Intercom? We always called it Adobe on Adobe internally when I was there, and we definitely dog food a lot here at Cloud App. What are you guys using Intercom for yourselves, and how has that been helpful?
Yeah, we call it eye for eye, Intercom for Intercom. So yeah, there's some consistency there. In terms of how we're using it across all of our different products. So obviously our support team is in there pretty much 95+% of their day. They're talking to customers almost exclusively through Intercom. Occasionally we'll hop on a call. But almost all of it is happening through the messenger, through Intercom. When it comes to our marketing and sales teams, a lot of that stuff is also happening through Intercom. So our sales team is going to be talking to customers in a mix between email, their own, private work email, as well as Intercom and the messenger. So all of our top of funnel SDR work goes through Intercom. And then on the marketing side of things, we use a blend between Intercom and Marketo is probably the other major tool that we use. I'd say our proactive kind of outreach campaigns to leads, cold or hot, is probably going through Marketo. But when somebody is an actual customer and they're in our product and we're trying to reach out to them about, world tour event that we are doing and we want to get them tickets, or we released a new product, or they just added a new product and they need to figure out how to use that, all of that is happening through Intercom.
That's really cool. Yeah, I always love to hear how businesses. It's easy. Sometimes it's easier to sell than it is to use. So I love to hear how people are trying to find unique ways to use their product and make it better and really be customer zero.
Yeah, and we're always trying to basically remove those hacks or remove those other products and use our own. Use Intercom. But at the end of the day, we're realistic. We're adding people who have come from other companies and done really, really well at other companies using tool X, Y, or Z. And they're going to come in and be like, okay, we can use Intercom and this and get this thing, which is greater than the sum of those parts.
Awesome.
So yeah, we try to be realistic,
So in a digital age with customer support, and tools like Intercom, great knowledge bases on customer support tools, Google videos on YouTube, lots of opportunities for people to troubleshoot on their own before they finally get to someone on, the customer support team. How does Intercom and how does your team help support the customer support team when you have someone who's probably spent an hour searching for ways to not have to contact you before they actually contact you?
Yeah. So before they actually get to the realization that they do need to contact you, we're doing a couple things. So we have that knowledge base, like you spoke about, which is an Intercom product that, we have a team of a couple people that are curating that and managing that and adding new things, editing old things. So it's pretty damn up to date and pretty good. You can get a lot of information there. We already have a community that we have invested a little bit in, but we are really excited that in the next what's the date? A couple weeks actually, we are going to be launching a bigger community. I actually might be breaking news here, so for anybody who's watching, not sure if I'm supposed to be talking about it, but hey, we're here. So yeah, we're going to be revamping and relaunching our community, which is launching in a couple weeks, and it is really, really, really damn good. The team that that's adjacent to my team within the sales and support operations group that's been working on this is top notch, and this thing it looks really great. It looks just like an extension of our site, which is really, really cool. So that's before people actually realize that they need to talk to us. Hopefully those two things can knock out a lot of different individuals. But when they do realize that they need to talk to us, we give them a bunch of different platforms by which they can write into us. So on the knowledge base, there's that messenger there. You can write in very easily there. If you're just on our site, in our app, obviously the Intercom messenger's there, really easy for them to talk in. And then from there, the conversation comes in and gets routed accordingly within the support org. In terms of what my crew is doing there, I think I didn't answer the question exactly. In terms of what my crew is doing there, we have somebody on my team who specifically focuses on automation. So this is everything from working with the team that is managing our knowledge base to automatically suggest articles out to people based on what they're writing in about, what URL they're writing in about, as well as managing this suite of basically like pre-canned answers, tiny little like replies that you can send to people based on a machine learning model within Intercom that looks through the text, looks through other conversations, and sends out something that we think might be helpful there.
That's awesome. So as far as let's look at the journey a little bit, and what does it look like if I'm having an issue with Intercom, and I finally get to someone on the customer support team, and you're able to close the issue. What's kind of like the follow-up process to make sure that they don't have an issue in the future, or everything was fixed, I guess. Kind of that extra level of customer experience. What are you guys doing there?
Yeah. So on the micro, just within that conversation level, we have a workflow that basically we will, when we get to a point in which we think the conversation is actually resolved, that we've answered the customer's question, we're not going to just immediately close it out. It creates a little bit of issues with our stats and something that my team has to work on to adapt those and learn from those. But what we'll do is we'll basically just snooze that conversation for a day, then another day, and follow up throughout that process, being like, hey, think this issue is resolved. Let me know if otherwise, I'll be here. And then at that point, we actually close the conversation. So we're giving people opportunities, again, like once you've gotten your issue solved with the customer support person, most people aren't like this, but there's a decent chunk of people who are just going to walk away and not say anything else and like not give the thumbs up. Yes, that was helpful. It's like, again, their job is not to talk to customer support people. Their job is to use Intercom to talk to their customers, whatever it might be. So once they've gotten their answer, they're moving on. So we're just following up to make sure that people are, actually getting the answers that they were looking for.
Awesome.
On a bigger level, we're doing like pretty sophisticated sort of tagging of all of our conversations, at which point that information is going all throughout the company. So my team is looking at it. Our product team is looking at it. Our marketing team, the team that's handling those knowledge base articles, is looking at it. This information is spreading throughout the company, taking that voice of the customer, aggregate it up, and sending that out to a bunch of different teams so they can act accordingly.
Awesome. Yeah, it's really cool to see the results democratized across different groups and help them really understand, so that everyone kind of has that customer feedback loop. One thing we kind of do here at Cloud App that's kind of fun and it definitely interesting is taking a turn at customer support once a month. And so it really gets us really close to, complaints people might have or struggles people are having. And also, like, we get really good feedback that's actually really valuable for marketing, like content. I mean, when people have good things to say, it's like, hey, that tagline that you just mentioned is actually really cool. I'm going to use that for some ad in the future. So it's really interesting to learn that.
Yeah. I mean, no better way to learn how your customers talk about your product than talking to them.
So, we're streaming live right now. Everyone is using video conferencing tools and maybe fatigued by it at this point. But how can video, visuals, screenshots, GIFs, other things be helpful both in a knowledge base and also with reps closing tickets?
Yeah, definitely. A bunch of different people on our team. We have like a somewhat central GIF repository of our most common kind of questions. So that's a super efficient way to get that information out. Based on whatever the conversation is, a support rep on our support team will create a custom GIF, annotate it, so on and so forth, and send that along. So I think it's a really great way when you're in that conversation to, give it an extra little boost of confidence in the answer and boost that this person is going to understand what you're actually talking about. So it's more effective than just a picture or just words. So when you have the time to do that, I think it's definitely a good thing to do. On the broader sort of like video and visually indicating things, we have a product that actually does this really well, which is called product tours, which basically just allows you to send pointer messages and walk people through your product when they either first get to first start paying you or add a new product a couple months later. This is a really great way to just walk through a feature set and lead people through the clicks necessary to do whatever it is they might be doing. So that's been really helpful for getting customers onboarded onto new products, adding old products, whatever it might be, to get them understanding like the motions of how this actually will work in the day-to-day.
It's really great. Yeah, they're all repeatable tasks. I like that you said that. I think it's helps automate, speed up. I'm sure that improves satisfaction and also just fatigue on the rep to be able to get through everything that's asked of them to get to 0 tickets.
Yeah, definitely.
What is this is a kind of the point of the conversation where I flip it on its head a little bit and take you as a consumer. What is the recent experience you had that made you more a loyal customer? Take us through kind of that journey and maybe things you learned and things you enjoyed that a brand or a tech tool or whatever provided for you?
Yeah, that's a good question. The first one that comes to mind is around just the travel industry right now. Obviously, there's a little bit of chaos in that world right now, but I think that I with our global support team and 5 different offices around the world, I'm lucky enough to travel a decent amount with our jobs. So with that, I'm playing the loyalty game with United and Marriott. So I've
Nice.
been very much impressed by how they've communicated out how they're going to be treating their customers that spend a lot of time with them throughout the year. In this case specifically, extending the whatever benefits or tier or level you're at this year through next year. I think that's just like a very simple thing that they did. I'm not going to be traveling for business for the rest of this year and probably for the foreseeable future. But just thinking about that and the way that they proactively messaged the people that spend the most money with them, the most valuable customers to them, I've been very happy with that. On a smaller scale, I think, funny enough, it's the grocery store down the street from me, just like 3 blocks away, that basically I've been going to once a week to get all of our stuff. And when all of this started, when shit started hitting the fan back in March and April, I was very much impressed by how they took their employee safety really, really seriously, but the way that they were actually communicating to their customers was what impressed me. So they had, the face shields, the glass between the customer when you're checking out and the cashier, the person checking it. You had somebody at the front of the store, basically making sure that every single person that came in was wearing masks. There's somebody like wiping down all the carts 24/7. Like all of those little things, they did it from such a early stage of all of this and acted with such confidence there to protect their employees and protect, their customers at the end of the day, that when that was the playbook that everybody started using a couple of weeks later, it was like, oh crap, Lucky's, like old school Lucky's Groceries was the thing that
Awesome.
started all this in my mind.
Yeah, that's really cool. It's been really fascinating to see innovation for sure, and kind of especially at that small business level, just trying to figure out how to keep people safe, how to provide a good experience, and make sure people come back, and it definitely creates some of that loyalty. I want to, I'm sure. Well, I'm not sure, but maybe your support team a lot of them is remote or spread across US or the world. How has it been kind of like onboarding new talent during a remote work shift? What are some tips and tricks that you guys have for bringing new people on and interviewing virtually and hiring remotely, and just making that a good experience for your employees?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So we are lucky enough that, what was it, probably 9 months ago now, our sales and support operations enablement team basically took a giant axe to all of our onboarding materials and let's call it modernized it. There was a whole bunch of video added and GIFs and made it a lot more like our knowledge base with
Cool.
just a ton of self-serve materials. So we actually had a dedicated stream of work that was last year, basically thinking about when we were adding a bunch of support people, that onboarding all those support people is a really, really expensive task. It takes a lot of your best people, best support people out of the inbox, away from talking to customers, and has them dedicated to onboarding these new people. So we wanted to basically move the shift from real life one-on-one in-person kind of trainings to the more asynchronous do-it-yourself kind of training. So we were lucky in that when everything sort of went fully remote, we were well prepared when it comes to bringing on new employees in a way that doesn't rely entirely on those one-on-one interactions.
That's
Beyond
really
that,
great.
though, yeah. On the hiring front, I think just maintaining the same sort of, as best we can, maintaining the same sort of experience, which is making sure that people have enough breaks throughout the day, making sure people are sort of taken care of, that they know that despite the fact that you're doing it from your living room, maybe with 4 roommates, that, we still care about the experience that you have the time to think and process throughout the entire interview experience.
Awesome. I appreciate you kind of diving into that a lot. It's definitely unique. I have a couple of interns this summer on my team, and I haven't met them. Everything was done virtually. I definitely relied a lot on referrals for those, a little heavier, I think. But it's been definitely interesting, and kind of like figuring out how to lead in that situation, and a very junior person, making sure they're having a good experience.
Yeah. On that note, have you realized or recognized that your ability to pick up on all of like the key body language and in-person interaction things that we rely so heavily on in social situations, have you realized that you've made progress there since this whole thing started back in March, April?
It's a great question. I think a little bit. I do appreciate that. No, a cloud app, obviously a lot of, most of what we do is video based or visual based. But I feel like you definitely have that added layer of context and tone, which is helpful versus just like an email. So it's nice to be able to connect with people. I do see the future being more of a hybrid, not like fully 100% remote, because there is such a value to getting people together and an energy that it's really fun to do like a virtual scavenger hunt like we've done on Zoom. But we had an offsite in January right before everything came down, and we built these bikes for like this service project, and we all went skiing together in Utah, and it was just it's just different. So you can find ways to try and replicate it, but I definitely see it being like a new hybrid. But I do appreciate the skills we're all building.
Definitely. The thing I miss the most by far is whiteboarding with people, and because of that, thankfully my girlfriend let this happen. I don't know how she did, but she let me put up a whiteboard in our bedroom. So I have a 4x3 foot whiteboard just right next to where she sleeps that I gotta
getting real
take her around on. Yeah, we'll see. There's only 3 misplaced holes in the wall, so I think I did a pretty good job, all things considered.
That's awesome. Ryan, I want to. This has been a great conversation. A lot of fun talking with you, getting your tips and tricks on things going on. I'd love to kind of have you look into your crystal ball and see, what you think the future of experience business is, or we could talk about the modern workplace. Really just where do you see things kind of moving on?
Yeah. I think the thing that most companies are going to move towards is creating more of that in-person kind of interaction that we have online. So what I mean specifically by that, thinking about customer experience, is that let's say you have like a regular that comes into your shop, and let's say you're a small grocery shop, to stay on that example, and they come in, every single week that they go and pick out Gala apples because they and their wife just love Gala apples. One week, like the Gala apples just look like crap, or maybe there's none, so they talk to like the managers, like, hey, come here every week, get 5 Gala apples for the week, like what's going on here? And the manager talks to them and gets some information. There's like, okay, well, we'll figure it out next week. And then the next week they come in, and the same manager's there, and they know they have the Gala apples. And at that point, like the manager walks over and is like, hey, look at these, like these look really great. Just like, obviously that's not a superlative example, but it's stuff like that, which is that knowing the context of previous interactions and allowing that to inform how you're going to service or talk with somebody in that particular interaction that's about to happen. So on the customer support side of things, like sometimes, we have like every single business has their own sort of like segmentation of how they want to cut up their customers, whether it's by spend, some other metric, product suite that determines what kind of customer experience they're actually going to get. whether it's just based on the topic that they're writing in about, but bringing all those things together, getting a holistic picture of where they're at, where they've been, the experience that they've had in the past, and then adjusting, potentially breaking the rule of your sort of constant segmentation to account for the fact that maybe the last time they talked to your team, they talked to somebody who gave them a crap experience. You want to really like show them that you've improved this time around, or maybe they've been with you for 5 years and you want to, despite the fact that they're not paying you all that much, you want to sort of bump them up into the next tier of service. It's knowing the history, knowing the past, knowing where this person has been with respect to your company and the people that work for your company, and allowing that to affect what you're doing today.
Yeah, I think that was a great analogy. It's kind of like trying to create that one-to-one experience without being creepy in the digital space. It's a fine line for sure to provide that personalized experience, especially when you're not like talking to someone. It's like, I search for shoes and now I'm getting a display ad everywhere I look for those same shoes, right? It can be annoying.
Yeah.
It can seem disingenuous, but it's kind of like V1 of personalization. It's like finding someone when they're in the moment of wanting to engage with your product or purchase your widget or whatever. I think that's really, really great.
Yeah. On that note, like, I think most people consider, if last night I was talking about Cheerios and didn't look it up on my phone, and then today I log into Facebook or Instagram or Google, and all I'm seeing are these damn Cheerios ads. It's
my God.
I don't really think that people are necessarily blaming Cheerios for that. I'd say most people lean towards like, damn Facebook, damn Google, damn whatever ad network it might be. So thinking about the creepy side of things, like how do you kind of manage the balance between, leveraging that information that, one person might be like, cloud, how do they figure this out? Like, that's so creepy. And also like needing to generate leads.
Yeah, I mean, I like to take people on a journey. So if people read a blog post, they will maybe, we're not necessarily spending much right now on advertising, but if you came to our blog, you may get served up an ebook or a webinar invitation. So it's kind of like less so direct. Hey, unless it was like a cloud app, learn how to use cloud app blog, then it'd be different. But if it's a thought leadership blog, you're going to be served a different piece of content to engage with. And then we kind of, take people along a journey with the content versus just like sign up for the product. I like to provide people different opportunities, and obviously we look at the data to, ensure that those we kind of, find the right levers for the right offer depending on how they came in. So that's kind of how I look at it, is more customer journey type stuff.
Yeah. I guess we're sort of lucky in that we're bounded by the fact that we're doing B2B.
Yep.
Most of the time, like B2C, like the whole world is your oyster. Everything can serve an ad. So we're a little bit more restrained there.
Very true. Very true. Well, Ryan, thank you so much for your time. Lots of great stuff. I'm a big fan of Intercom. Keep up the good work over there, and we'll talk again soon.
Thanks, John. Thanks for having me.